Hi everybody, welcome back to World History. This will be our final section of chapter 14. So go ahead and get your notes out and let's get started. So we're going to continue our discussion of Asia today. So European contact with Ming China. So when I mention Ming China, I'm not talking about a specific region. I'm talking about a specific royal family. Chinese history is broken up into different families based on which family was in power. So this is the height of the Ming dynasty. So Europeans wanted products from China but had little to offer in return. European textiles and metalwork were inferior by Chinese standards, and the Chinese demanded payment in gold or silver. Now, eventually, they would allow a trading post for the Portuguese, Dutch, and English. The Portuguese trading post at Macau is near Canton, or present-day Guangzhou, and trade had to be conducted under the supervision of Chinese officials. At the end of each trading season, the Europeans had to completely leave. They were not allowed to stay. They had to sail away from China. Portuguese missionaries also arrived in China along with the traders, including Jesuit priest Matteo Ricci, and he made a particularly strong impression on the Chinese. Not a good one, though. But the Ming aren't going to remain in power for long. By the early 1600s, in what we know as the Dynastic Cycle, the Ming were growing weak, and the Manchus next door were able to break through the Great Wall. In 1644, the Manchus took over Beijing, then set up the Qing dynasty. They won support of scholars because they adopted Confucianism, and Manchus stationed troops across the empire to ensure loyalty. Now, two rulers oversaw the most brilliant age of the Qing dynasty. In the late 1600s, it was Kang Shi, who extended Chinese power into Central Asia and promoted Chinese culture. And in the 1700s, Queen Long expanded China's borders to rule the largest area in the nation's history. Now, their borders aren't that far off from where they are today, but they would shrink a little bit over time. Now, the Qing used the Ming policy of restricting foreign traders because they also did not like the Europeans. However, the Europeans wanted to expand trade desperately, and this led into a bit of an incident. In 1793, Lord Macartney arrived in China from Britain on a diplomatic mission. He brought British-made goods to show and essentially to initiate trade. Now, several misunderstandings would take place during the meeting and lead to a lot of violence. Now, here's a lot of what happened. The Chinese thought the gifts were tribute, not for sale. They asked Macartney to kowtow or touch head to the ground to show respect. It's a Chinese custom. He refused to kowtow. He also offended the Chinese by speaking English. This infuriated the Chinese to the point that they were willing to cut off all connection with Europeans. But at the same time as this, Korea is also being invaded. So in 1592 and 97, Japan will invade Korea, actually. And in 1598, Korea will successfully drive them out after several negative impacts from Japan. Villages will be burned to the ground, famine and disease would become widespread, and the population would decrease. Later, in 1636, the Manchus were like, Korea is just open for the taking, so let's take it. So they do. And they make Korea a tributary state again. Now, it had previously been a tributary state to Japan, gained their independence, but now they're under the thumb of another power. Now, eventually, after multiple invasions, Korea decides to choose a policy of isolation. They exclude all foreigners, this is all Europeans, except a small number of Chinese and Japanese officials. During this time, Koreans went on several tribute missions and brought back discoveries dealing with science, arts, and nature. Not nature, literature, my apologies. And a lot of these changed Korean society and starts to bring it forward with the rest of the world. So let's also talk about Japan. Initially, at first, Japan welcomed Westerners, unlike Korea or China, because of the advanced weapons they brought the daimyos, or the local rulers. These weapons helped the Tokugawa shogunate, the major government of Japan at the time, to centralize the government. The Japanese also welcomed the printing press as well. As time went on, the Tokugawa would grow hostile towards the foreigners because they didn't like them. Now, by 1638, the Tokugawa will turn against the Europeans. Japan barred all European merchants from entering the country, and they also outlawed the building of large ships to further their isolation. They stayed this way for over 200 years. Internal trade, arts, and literature all flourished. It's why Japanese culture is so unique compared to the rest of Asia. Now, to keep informed about world events, they did permit one or two Dutch ships to trade at the island in Nagasaki Harbor, but that was a very limited contact. It, unlike a lot of the other trading ports that we've talked about, this was more so like you were there once, maybe every 6 to 8 months. So that is it for notes for today. Your assignment for today is the chapter 14 reflection. So you're reflecting on everything that we learned this chapter. I will see you all next time. I don't know why my bubble keeps moving up here. Bye, everyone. I'll see you next time.